Shalom. I'd like to start out by giving all glory, praise, and honor to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahushai, Bahasham, Rakah, Wadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of the Great Millstone, and Shalom to the elect of Israel. This is the Mayim in Atlanta, and as you most likely know, there is a lot of turmoil and violence going on in the land of Israel right now. And according to the scriptures, if the true people were returned to that land, then there would be no more war, no more violence of that sort going on. But it's not true. That Balfour Declaration that was written up in 1917 and actually enacted in 1948, that was not the prophecies being fulfilled of Israel returning to the land. And so we're going to start out here in Zechariah 9 and see what it says about the land and about the heathens taking over that land. It says, this is the book of Zechariah, chapter 9 and verse 6. And it says, and a bastard shall dwell in Ashdod. And I want to say it's the book of Numbers, where it speaks of how a bastard cannot enter into the congregation of the Lord. But right here it's letting you know, a bastard shall dwell in Ashdod, and I will cut off the pride of the Philistines. Ashdod being just outside of modern day Tel Aviv, aka Pink City, which also shows you that the true people are not in that land, because they have a place called Pink City, in which they have one of the biggest alphabet parades in all of the world. And then it says he's going to cut off the pride of the Philistines. Philistine has been bastardized down to the word Palestine or Palestinian. And this is just showing you both of these people are claiming what's not so. So we've got heathens in the land. And in the book of Jeremiah, chapter 17, it lets you know that Israel, which, let's just go there. But Israel's heritage would be cut off. Book of Jeremiah, chapter 17, and verse 4. And thou, even thyself, and he's speaking to Jeremiah, shalt discontinue from thine heritage that I gave thee. That heritage being an Israelite. It says, and I will cause thee to serve thine enemies in the land which thou knowest not, for ye have kindled a fire in mine anger, which shall burn forever. And when can you recollect or find history about the self-proclaimed people of the Lord, or the Small Hatters, the 1948ers, discontinuing from their heritage, or what they've been called, that J word ends with the ish, and actually serving out slavery or captivity under their enemies in foreign lands. I can't think of any of those times. Maybe they can help guide us to it. But while that's happening, the Bible also tells us that heathens would inherit our land, or would start dwelling in our land. So this is the book of Lamentations 5 and verse 2. It says, our inheritance is turned to strangers, our houses to aliens. And our inheritance goes into the land, the rights to the land, and it's been turned over to strangers, which in the Bible there are two strangers, just like there are two Gentiles and two Greeks They have different meanings. There's one that's a natural born Israelite, which are being called strangers, or they're being called Greeks, or being called Gentiles, but they actually, through their father's lineage, go back to the house of Israel, go back to Jacob. And then the other one are just natural born Gentiles, natural born strangers, natural born Greeks, who are not a part of the covenant. But when you go back to the idea of them being Israelites, since they're practicing these other customs, the customs of the other nations, not going with the law, statutes, and commandments and the heritage that the Lord gave to us, they're called strangers, they are called Greeks, and they are called Gentiles. But in this case, these are strangers that are actually heathen. They are born heathen and they will remain heathen, because you can't convert to being an Israelite at all. And just to show more of how these heathen would be in our land, calling themselves after us, saying they are us, it's just not true. This is the book of Isaiah 26 and verse 10. It says, "Let favor be showed to the wicked." And that's favor among the nations, favor among people. They're these people that are there in the land, who are known as the wicked in the Bible, according to the book of Malachi 1 and verse 4, Edom, the border of wickedness. They've been shown favor. They are in their blessing currently. This is their kingdom of heaven. This is the time that they shall have favor and have blessings. But it's all to bring them down. He lifted them up just to bring them down. But that favor right now it's showed through their running of the media, the running of the banking systems. They've been able to take the land without a problem. I mean, yeah, there's been skirmishes and stuff, but they have established themselves there. And most of the world views them as the actual people of the Lord, when they couldn't be anything further from being the people of the Lord. You know, they've got Pink City over there, and they eat kosher pork, kosher swine, and they commit all sorts of acts of violent crimes, as well as break treaties and playing the victim all the time, and people are actually believing it. They've been shown favor. They're at the top of the social food chain or ladder. It says, "Yet will he not learn righteousness." So you can't make a crooked thing straight. They're meant to be the wicked and to show that they are the wicked. They're basically an example of how not to be. And that will be established when the Lord returns and the vast majority of the world gets slayed for following after their ways. It says, "Though hand join in hand, the wicked must be punished." It says, "In the land of uprightness will he deal unjustly." And they're there in the Lord's land, the land of Israel, dealing unjustly. Because first off, this big thing that happened over this past weekend, it seems like it's most likely a false flag, because Israel has an Iron Dome and they have one of the best defense systems set up in all of the world. And they talk about how if even a mouse went up to the border, then they'd have IDF soldiers all over it within a matter of seconds or minutes. But these guys were able to fly in on paragliders and storm in without being noticed. You know, it just smells of a false flag. I'm not denying that people actually died, but it's one of those cases where they might have known it was coming and just let them come so that they could actually go and take more land over there so that they could go on the offensive. And who knows, they might have completely set this up. Those might have not even been Palestinians that flew in, and Hamas might not even, or Iran might not even be involved. You can't put it past them because these people are liars and they're the father of lies. They come from that lineage, and they're known for their false flags. But that is a way of dealing unjustly, along with the broken treaties, along with their pink city and the kosher swine. These are all unjust ways. And it says, and will not behold the majesty of the Lord Yahweh. And they can't. His name is a terror unto them. That's why they call him Hashem, which just means the name. If you were the Lord's people, you would have the name because it's that one name that you could be saved through. But there's no place of repentance found for these Edomites. They cannot be saved. Let's finish this out in Joel. Because the heathen, both these small hatters or 1948ers and the so-called Palestinians that are there, as well as the other groups that are there. There's Ethiopians that are there. There's all sorts of Christians that are there. They all do not belong in that land. Don't get me wrong, though. There are, because we've been scattered throughout the four corners of the earth and into every nation, there are going to be Palestinians that go directly back through their father's bloodline to the Israelites. There are going to be small hatters that go all the way back to the Israelites, and they're going to be looking like the small hatters and acting like them, and so on and so forth, which circles us back around to the idea of there being multiple strangers and multiple Gentiles and Greeks. The ones that are over there that believe that they're actual small hatters or actual Palestinians, but do trace back, those are in fact Israelites. And this just all goes into Esau turning the world upside down, because those small hatters believe you have to come from a ish womb to be an actual one of them, to be an actual small hatter. But that couldn't be further from the truth. They're just wrong and in darkness completely. And so the heathen claiming the land and being there in the land of Israel, it's all going to lead to World War III, or the gathering to the valley of Jehoshaphat, or Jehoshaphat. And so we'll see it here in Joel 3 and verse 2. It says, I will also gather all nations and will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat, which is the Lord's pleading, the Lord's judgment, and will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage, Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations, because we're spread throughout the four corners of the earth into every nation. And here's the point. And it says, and parted my land. And so you've got these Palestinians there who really go back to Ishmael, which Arab means mixture. So it's a bit of Ishmael, a bit of Elam, probably some other things too. But they don't go back to Israel. You've got the Ishes there, the small hatters, and they go back to Amalek, who Amalek is a part of the house of Edom. That's not Israel. That's Israel's brother but they don't get the blessings for being the brother. They don't get the inheritance for being the brother. And because they force themselves into such a position, the Lord's going to come down on them the absolute hardest, because they have been the biggest enemies of the nation of Israel. They, especially the ones in the land, they go back to owning the slave ships. They go back to owning slaves. They go back to stealing our heritage, and that is unforgivable. They stole our heritage and stole our positioning, which the Lord saw it all. He's about to spew them out of that land. So it's the book of Ezekiel, chapter 36 and verse 5. It says, "Therefore, thus saith the Lord power, surely in the fire of my jealousy have I spoken against the residue of the heathen." And so all these people that are there, they're about to get spewed out. And the Lord is jealous for his inheritance. He's jealous for his people, Israel, the Negroes, the Latinos, and the Native Americans, as well as our scattered. And he's jealous for the land. He's jealous for the law, statutes, and commandments, which they don't keep at all, but for them taking the book into their hands, whether it be the Edomites here that call themselves Christians, or which the Edomites are the self-proclaimed white race, or the Caucasians, just to go into that a little bit, and also Amalek, those small hatters over there. He's jealous for them claiming to be his people. It says, "I've spoken against the residue of the heathen," those Palestinians, those Amalek that's there, those Ethiopians that are there, the Christians that are there. Those are heathen. They're outside of the temple, outside of the covenant. It says, "and against all Idumea." Idumea is the Greek way of saying Edom. Why is there a Greek word in the Old Testament? It says, "which have appointed my land into their possession," that being the Balfour Declaration, because it's speaking to Idumea, to Edom. And they drew that up in 1917 and put it into fruition in 1948 and started claiming the land as theirs. It says, "with the joy of all their heart," and they were so happy to be in that land, so happy to be called the people of the Lord. But they're not. It says, "with despiteful minds to cast it out for a prey," because in order for them to do that, to fill in our position, they had to put us down. They're the reason that we lost our heritage and our way of knowing that we are the true Israelites. They turned everything upside down. They beat it out of us, and they put it on to themselves. And that is an ultimate wrong that is unforgivable, and what is about to come to them will show. They're going to know that the Lord hates them. Jacob have I loved, Esau have I hated. They're going to know. And we're coming into that time. They're going to come down with great wrath because they realize that their time is up. Their blessing, their temporary blessing is over. And so they're going to get as violent, more violent than they've ever gotten. But we're at the end. These times must come so that we can enter into the kingdom of heaven. And so, Lord willing, that was edifying. I'd like to give all glory, praise, and honor to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai Bahasham, Rakach Wadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of the Great Millstone, and Shalom to the elect of Israel. Shalom.